and the power, and the glory forever, world without end. Through the true and the King of Kings, Lords of Lords, but Judah, defender of the faith and true light of this world, father of African freedom and African unity, the Aman living one, instrument and power of the Holy Kudus Selassie. Silaha. Neguselam, Leku Lekemu, Malcolm Nigatu, Abacadus Kedamare, Haile Selassie Stiam Exhibir, Yinigusi Negesetu, Yedeli, Meskele, Sila, Ye Ethiopia, Koheb Negusi, Ye Negusi, Ziredi, Amlekana, Hailina Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amasagana, Amlakana Hailina Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amasagana, Amlakana Hailina Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amasagana, Amlakana Hailina Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amasagana. The King of Peace be unto you all. Blessed rising with the victorious, glorious one, our Holy Father, the glorious, true and faithful witness of the might and power and instrument of the Holy Triune, the Lord's anointed King of our tribe, the Emperor's cross of victory, ye Ethiopia, Star King, the Emperor's holy coronation, our God, our strength, our protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand up on the mountains of Untalto, that bring good tidings of peace and of freedom, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand up on the mountains, that bring good tidings of peace and of joy, who comes in the most, and freedom, that comes in the most powerful name of our God. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed be the King of Israel. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains of Antauto, that bring a good tidings of peace and of freedom, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. Glory in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he, be the King of better Israel. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains of Antauto, that bring a good tidings of peace and of freedom, that comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. Glory in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed be the King of Israel. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains of Antauto, that bring a good tidings of peace and of freedom, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. Glory in the highest to our Lord. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed be the King of better Israel. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains of Antauto, that bring a good tidings of peace and of freedom, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. Glory in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, and blessed be the King of Israel. For Israel's God is Israel's King. Better Israel in this time. Glory in the highest. Selah, 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 Selah. Prayer for Ethiopians' deliverance by Dorothy H. Bian, matriarch, wife of the Ethiopian World Federation, angelic messenger of the Masonic King, Dr. Maliku E. Bayan. Prayer for Ethiopians' deliverance to be said thrice daily. O Exhibir of our fathers and Lord of mercy, who has made all things by thy word and ordained man through thy wise mind that he should have dominion over the creatures which thou hast made, and over the world according to equity and righteousness, and execute judgment with an upright heart. Give wise mind to thy servant, Emperor Kadamawe Haile Selassie, thy elect, whom thou hast raised up from the east, to deliver and mete out thy judgments to the nations of the world. Bestow upon him, we pray, wise mind in like measure, as unto Solomon, that he may sway the scepter of thy promise with equity and in righteous judgment. To all who have robbed and bespoiled I, have mercy upon I, Siyam, Exhibir of all, and send thy fear upon the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand upon the strange nations who have possessed I, and let them see thy power. As thou wast sanctified in I before them, so be thou magnified among them before I. Let them know thee, we have known thee, that there is no other Exhibir, but only thou, Siam, Exhibir. Show new signs and make strange wonders. Raise up indignations and your wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy our enemies. Remember thy covenant. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. Shorten the day, O Exhibit, that thy people everywhere shall stretch forth their hands unto thee. Let them that spoil I everywhere be consumed with the rage of thy fire, and let them perish that oppress and rob I continually. Have mercy upon thy peculiar people who are called by thy name and scattered among the nations. Give courage to those that possess thee, and frustrate the designs of the enemies within and without, and return their evils upon their own heads. Reward them that faithfully serve and lead in thy people everywhere, and destroy our enemies speedily, that they would know that there is no Amlak like unto Ethiopia's Amlak. Hasten the day of universal brotherhood, when all mankind shall invoke thy name in spirit and in truth, when idolatry and superstition shall no longer enslave our minds or blind our eyes. Help I to know and keep thy commandments. Hear I prayers. Fill I with thy true spirit, that all who dwell upon the earth may know that thou art the only Exhibiha, the everlasting and eternal. Siam, Exhibiha, living man. Sila, Sila, Sila. The Voice of Ethiopia, Volume 1, number 33, September 11th, 1937. Ethiopian New Year. Give thanks. The shield of defense and glory. Selah. King of Kings speaks on personal responsibility. Let all of us follow the golden rule. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you. Let the officials follow it closely. Let them serve their people and their country with humility and diligence. But diligence and humility and service to one's country are not the task of officials only. They are not the task of anyone alone. The present project will demand close contact and cooperation between all of I. Officials to whom we have entrusted various degrees of responsibility, guided by the example of Negus Christ, who having declared, I came to serve you, not to be served by you, brought himself low and washed the feet of his disciples, must render service to the people without charge for these services. We have repeated many times over in our last pronouncements. We would like again to emphasize the value of time and urge you to dedicate yourselves to hard work and profitably utilize your time. There is no energy in the world, including that of the atom that cannot be controlled. However, there is no scientist on Earth who could control, even for a second, the flow of time. For this reason, never idle away your time, however briefly. Is it not you, her children, that are referred to as Ethiopia? Our lasting hope has ever been with the Almighty to help promote the interest and well-being of our people, not to get disillusioned by remote hopes and wishful thinking. May Siam exhibit help us in the fulfillment of our undertakings. Stila. For we, the black peoples of the world, in order to effect unity, solidarity, freedom, liberty, self-determination, to secure justice and maintain the integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage, do hereby establish and ordain this Constitution for the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated unto His Imperial Bear as Commander-in-Chief of the Imperial Mahel Safari Forces of Ethiopian Empire in accordance with the 1931 Ethiopian Grand Constitution granted by him during this coronation. Chapter 2, the powers and prerogatives of the emperor. Article 29, the emperor reserves the right, with the advice and consent of Parliament, to declare war. He further reserves the right to decide what armed forces shall be maintained, both in time of peace and in time of war. As Commander-in-Chief of the armed forces, he has the right to organize and command the said forces, to commission and to confer military rank upon the officers of the said forces, and to promote, transfer, or dismiss any of the said officers. He has further the right to declare a state of siege, martial law, or emergency, or state of emergency. I pray that or a national state of emergency, or a national state of emergency. Sila. I pray that hold on. I pray that IMC can we bring this forward again. Selah. That when the call comes in, it interrupts the feedback. As Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, he has the right to organize and command the said forces, to commission and to confer military rank upon the officers of the said forces, and to promote, transfer, or dismiss any of the said officers. He has further the right to declare a state of siege, martial law, or national emergency, and to take such measures as are necessary to meet a threat to the defense or integrity of the empire, and to ensure its defense and integrity. It was under these aims lawfully that we, the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, was established with the sole purpose in I Constitution, looking for we, the black peoples of the world, in order to effect unity, solidarity, liberty, freedom, self-determination, secure justice, and maintain the root word integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage, established by the commander-in-chief of the Ethiopian Imperial Mahel Safari forces under a state of siege to promote the defense of the integrity of Ethiopia. Sila, 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 Sila. Word from the Mashafa Bahan, the Book of Light. Sila. Isaiah 55:4. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader, a commander to the people. Word from the Mashafa Bahan, the Ethiopian Book of Light. Isaiah 55:4. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people. Isaiah 55:4-5 describes the suffering servant as a witness, leader, and commander to the people. This means that the servant represents, exhibits, leads people to follow him, and commands people to obey him. This servant represents Exhibir. I repeat, Isaiah 55:4-5 describes the suffering servant as a witness, leader, and commander to the people. This means that the servant represents Exhibir, leads people to follow him, and commands people to obey him. Witness, the servant represents and speaks in Exhibir's name. He confirms the covenant that Exhibir made with his people. Leader, the servant teaches people to profit and leads them in the right way. He leads people out of their own ways and into his ways. Commander, the servant commands people to obey him. He is wise, powerful, valiant, and courageous leader who is always victorious, Gatamauri, the victorious, glorious one. The servant calls a nation that was ignorant of true faith. Nations will eagerly run to serve him because he glorified the only true and living Exhibir, Sila, our commander in chief. The more ambassador Zemanagade Yehuda, His Imperial Majesty, Abakudus Kenamawe, Adisalasi, Siam, Exhibir, Sila, the faithful and true witness of the Kudus, Selassie, the Holy Triune, Sila, Sila. My holy witness in Christ, my holy leader in Christ, my holy commander in Christ. Isaiah 55:4. Context. Zechariah 14 describes the second coming of Christ. The last siege of Jerusalem and the millennial kingdom that follows. The chapter also describes the signs of the times before Christ's coming and the fate of the enemies of the church. Selah. Zechariah 14, verse 16 through 21 describes the Feast of Tabernacles, which survivors from the nations that fought against Jerusalem will celebrate. The main point here, Isaiah 14 describes the second coming of the Christ, the last siege of Jerusalem and the millennial kingdom that follows. Shield of defense, powers, chapter 2 of the powers and prerogatives of the emperor. Remember what we just read accordingly. The emperor reserves the right, with the advice and consent of parliament, to declare war. He further reserves the right to decide what armed forces shall be maintained, both in times of peace and in times of war. As commander-in-chief of the armed forces, he has the right to organize and command the said forces, to commission and to confer military rank upon the officers of the said forces, and to promote, transfer, or dismiss any of the said officers. He has further the right to declare a state of siege. So under the state of siege by the fascist forces of Benito Mussolini, who was empowered by Pope Pius the 11th of the Roman Catholic Church, invaded Ethiopia. So His Imperial Majesty, under a state of siege as Commander-in-Chief, created an auxiliary force of his imperial force to meet the common threat in a modern time, thus creating the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated. The two main points in this is the word siege from Zechariah 14, talking about the last siege of Zion that shall take place after the victory. Before the victory, then the victory shall come, then we shall usher into a new kingdom, a millennial kingdom. And you note, Ethiopia celebrated the Ethiopian Millennium, 2007 Greco calendar, the Ethiopian Millennium, which must be a time of obedience, a kingdom obedience. Selah, Selah. Patrimony, definition: property inherited from one's father or male ancestor. Heritage, an organization that serves the world cultural patrimony by restoring historic buildings, which are the first temples of the Most High, are his people. So we was given a holy patrimony, the result of the holy matrimony, the Last Supper, the wedding feast, coronation of the bridegroom with the bride, which is the ancient people and the ancient church. We was given a gift from this holy matrimony wedding, which would be in the hand of this Messiah, king, priest king, which was the patrimony, which is an organization that serves the world, that saves the world, cultural patrimony. Thus, our preamble to save the integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage. But we also receive, because of our faithful and obedience service, to come to the aid of our Ethiopian brethren and sisters and youths and our king. We was given the land of Shashamani as a reward, which you see here is a part of patrimony, property inherited from one's father or male ancestor. To receive two, a double blessing. For Joseph shall receive a double blessing when he came into Egypt, and the children of Joseph shall receive the double blessing. Let the blessing fall upon the head of Joseph, who was separated from his brethren, as well as those also who were separated from their brethren, which is I and I in the West, in the live aspera, what they call diaspora. Selah, Selah. It's at Mebrak, lightning and thunder. The seven covenants of Ethiopia, which is the seven foundations of our faith and our culture. A covenant means an agreement, a promise, or it can be a contract or a deal. It is made by Ixibir with its people, or can be by people with people, or focus is on the covenant made by our Most High. Our Lord has made covenants with many of his beloved children, beginning the creation of the heaven and the earth. As it is stated in the book of Psalms, I have made a covenant with my chosen. Psalm 88 and 89, verse 3. 88, King James Version. 89, the Ethiopian Bible. Ixibir's divine intention was his will of creating the world for his glorification and inheritance of kingdom of heaven. Unfortunately, to the first creature, the erstwhile archangel Satan, who defied and refused to keep Xavier's command, the befallen angels betrayed. Betrayal has brought the failure of many creatures ensuing the enemy's mission. That is, to be a creator, a blasphemous one, to be as the Most High, fire. The reason for the fall of Adam was also Satan's venomous scam in becoming the Lord. Yet he would never feed that. So he entered the body of the serpent and deceived his ways into capturing not only Adam and Eve, but also human in his devil's nest. In fulfilling this word of salvation and the will of our Exhibit, our Holy Orthodox Incarnation Church recognizes the 7 covenants. A covenant means an agreement, promise, or can be fireball, a contract, according to the first of these covenants, according to the Tarahudo Ethiopian tradition, there are 7 covenants as enshrined in the scriptures. I pray the item. That Exhibit have made with humanity ever since creation. The first of these covenants is signified by the eternalized by the holy matrimony of Adam and Eve in Genesis chapter 2, verse 21 through 25, Matthew 19, verse 4 through 6. The second, by the rainbow of Noah, Genesis 9, verse 8 through 17. The third, by the bread and wine offering of Melchizedek, Genesis 14, verses 18 through 20. The fourth, by the circumcision of Abraham, Genesis 17, verse 1 through 14. The fifth, by the ark of Moses, Deuteronomy chapter 5. The sixth, by the throne of David, 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 8 through 16. The seventh and the last, by the crucified goody and the blood of David, which is the Christ, born of the Virgin Mary. Here, as in last session, we show the duality that rests in the foundations of our faith. For everything we have, we see the Messiah in 2 points. We see him as a lowly suffering servant and as a mighty conquering king. And we also see that bloodline. The bloodline of David is the root of the offspring. Just in Revelation chapter 5, behold, the conquering line of the tribe of Judah has conquered the root and the offspring of David. So here we have the root and the offspring of this Masonic line is the root of David. And Mary represents the Zion of the birth of the first, and the Zion, the metaphorical Zion parable of the second coming, which is the holy place never conquered by the Ferengi forces of Ethiopia. Can the item still see the screen?
You say
Yes, I conquered
No,
by conquered that was never. Can you see it now?
no, you have to redo it.
yes.
I pray that I.
That's the idea with the Martinique, right?
Let's see.
That's the screen that's on Ethiopian with Federation Martinique.
Oh, all right, let's see now. I pray the item because every time I get a call, it knock it off, or if I make a big move at this, it does that. So I pray the item, give thanks for the item, patience, and tolerance. Yes. So as in the last session,
Uh,
We,
one second. There's a black thing in the middle of the screen. You can take it out. The icon.
can I see now?
Yeah, but you have okay, Rastafari. Yes, I.
Yes, sir. Give thanks, Selah. So in the last session, we looked at some videos from some of the Tawahedo priests, and they talk about the foundation of our faith being the 7 covenants, and coming from the 7 covenants with the foundation of our church through the music from Saint Yarad. Saint Yarad established the foundation of the Messianical prophetical Christ teachings coming from Mark that is talking about the true fast of Christ while he turned over the treasury inside the church. So we have a duality within our Tawahedo faith. The first advent and the second advent. And it's the mystery because we got the wholeness at one time. We didn't get one like one and then one later. They always been interconnected with each other. We got the whole fullness at one time. So a lot of people say, well, we see how the Ferengi Europeans have came and tried to corrupt our faith over centuries, right? And getting a hold of things and trying to change things around, which they did much in the New Testament. But remember, our Most High said, remember, take heed to the mouth of the words of the prophets when the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid, that the temple 7 covenants, which is the 6th covenant being that of the throne of David. All right. So within the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid to the prophets. We're talking about the books of Zechariah, Isaiah, Malachi, Jeremiah, Habakkuk, Joel. These books were not temperate in the way that they did the New Testament, for it hadn't happened yet. So they didn't know what to move and what to leave, right? So this established the same foundation of the duality from St. Yarad, talking about the true fast being a fast of your eyes, your ears, and your mouth, and your hands. He who shaketh his hands from the taking of bribes, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, they shall see the king in his beauty. So here we have the parable. When you see the pictures, the iconic pictures in our Tawahedo church, you see the duality. You see Mary and the child. Mary represents the future Zion, which is the second Zion that shall give birth to the futuristic Messiah who shall come and rule the world with the rod of the golden rod, which is the root of the word Ethiopia and what the full meaning of Ethiopia means. Land of the yellow gold, the sacred land where our Most High will come one day and be crowned king, and he shall be given a crown of yellow gold. He shall be given an orb of yellow gold, and he shall be given a scepter of yellow gold, and he shall be vested with the holy garments of the red and embroidered with the golden thread, wherein is the precious chasuble. For he wear the precious chasuble of Melchizedek, for he is the Sila Melchizedek. Melchizedek. The Sila Melchizedek is the one who lifts up our prayers and our hearts unto the Most High. Yes, I. So we see in the 7th and last covenant, all of this is derived in that. But right here, in this definition of the 7th covenant, it is a very, it don't go, it's a very short definition. It really don't give it the fullness that, it's I would say this definition of the 7th covenant is a Ferengi definition. It is the onslaught of them coming into our church and trying to conquer us, because it leaves out our future glory, the fullness of it, which it is in the Christ, but it don't come and seal it up the way it should be sealed up to describe why we got these other covenants in the first place that leads up to the temple, which is the 7th covenant. The covenants as described above, and each symbolized by real signs, are personified by humble individuals who pleased Ixibir with their true love for him. These persons became unique and parties of their respective covenants with Ixibir, following their singular triumphs over great rituals, trials of various physical and spiritual dimensions. And these trials were meant to test the truthfulness of their love for Ixibir before each one of them actually won his favor to be chosen as a representative party for the specific divine covenant. These seven covenants, these seven holy covenants contribute Ethiopia or the Ethiopian. In other words, Ethiopia or the Ethiopian is these seven covenants. And these seven covenants are Ethiopia or the Ethiopian, devoid of them or outside the context of these covenants. Outside the context of these covenants, there is no Ethiopia. So Ethiopia don't observe these covenants. There is no Ethiopia outside, because these covenants represent Ethiopia, the fullness of it. You can't hold it without it. It represents every aspect of these covenants. It is the fullness of our tradition and faith in the wholeness of it. It's the fullness of it. Selah. Selah. Word from the Mashafa Bahan, Selah. Isaiah 61:1, the arid of Siam Ixibir is upon I, because the Lord hath anointed I to preach good tidings to the meek. He has sent I to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Ye Ethiopia, Koheb Negusi, the star king of Ethiopia, Abakadus, Katamari, Haile Selassie, Siam Ixibir, the star king of Ethiopia, the star king of Ethiopia, Siam Ixibir, the state of Neguselam, a consciousness of innermost peace brought through embracing the reality of our true liberty through our promised Redeemer, the Lord our righteousness and the Lord our vengeance. For vengeance is mine, said the Lord of hosts. John 14, verse 27, and Psalms 1:01. Testament of Levi. Then shall the Lord raise up a new priest, and to him all the words of the Lord shall be revealed, and he shall execute a righteous judgment upon the earth for a multitude of days. Lighten up the light of knowledge as the sun the day, and he shall be magnified in the world. He shall shine forth as the sun on the earth, and shall remove all darkness from under heaven, and there shall be peace in all the earth. The heaven shall exult in his days, and the earth shall be glad, and the clouds shall rejoice, and the knowledge of the Lord shall be poured forth upon the earth as the water of the seas, and the angels of the glory of the presence of the Lord shall be glad in him. The heavens shall be open, and from the temple of glory shall come upon him sanctification with the Father's voice, as from Abraham to Isaac. Here we have a difference. And the glory of the Most High shall be altered over him, and the iron of overstanding and sanctification shall rest upon him in the water. So here we have a holy regeneration, a holy washing. He shall be baptized. But here it's different from the baptism of in the first advent in the river Jordan, because there was not a temple involved with that. The second baptism and the exaltation is involved with the temple. Here we see the precursors of our king at the Holy Coronation. On that Saturday, the eve of the coronation, November 1st, the king and the queen took a holy bath, a holy ceremonial bath, each one of them separately. They took a holy ceremonial bath and a washing. Then they put on the holy white communion robes afterward, and they went to the church at midnight and went into to pray and joined the priests who had already been there for 7 days and 7 nights. The priests in groups of 7, 49 priests in groups of 7 held place in the 7 corners of the National Cathedral to chant without ceasing 9 Psalms of David. They were already in there. The king and the queen came to join them on the previous night. Here it's telling you about the holy baptism. Then his coronation and anointment shall happen. The head, the brow, and the shoulders shall be anointed. It's telling you here, he is washed clean, then anointed with the iron, right? The heaven shall be open, and from the temple of glory shall come upon him sanctification with the Father's voice, as from Abraham to Isaac. For when the king was crowned, they crowned him with the Psalms of David. Every Psalm of David that was read at the coronation depicted something that will occur, something that he would do, a strength that he was given, and the blessing that he was given. And the glory of the Most High shall be ordered over him, and the iron of overstanding and sanctification shall rest upon him in the water. They didn't put in the water on him at the coronation. He got the water put on him the previous night leading to the coronation. What he got put on him in the coronation was the oil of anointment. Selah. For he shall give the majesty of the Lord to his sons in truth forevermore, and there shall none succeed him for all generations forever. And in his priesthood the Gentiles shall be multiplied in knowledge upon the earth, and enlightened through the grace of the Lord. In his priesthood shall sin come to an end, and the lawless shall cease to do evil, and he shall open the gates of paradise, and shall remove the threatening sword against Adam. And he shall give to the saints to eat from the tree of life, and the iron of holiness shall be on them, and Beliar shall be bound by him, and he shall give power to his children to tread upon the evil spirits. And the Lord shall rejoice in his children, and be well pleased, and his beloved ones forever. Then shall Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob exalt, and I will be glad, and all the saints shall clothe themselves with joy. And now, my children, you have heard all. Choose therefore for yourselves either the light or the darkness, either the law of Siam, Ixibir, or the works of Beliar. And his sons answered him, saying, before the Lord we will walk according to his law. And their father said unto them, the Lord is witness, and his angels are witnesses. You are witnesses, and I am witness concerning the word of your mouth. And the sons said unto him, we are witnesses. This is the testament given from the testament of Levi. This is the testament of Levi, taken from the forgotten books of Edom, the forgotten books of Eden, left in Ethiopia. They said they forgot them, but these books was left in Ethiopia. And this is the book, it's a book called Testament of the 12 Patriarchs. The Testament of the 12 Patriarchs. Selah. State of Neguselam, a consciousness of innermost peace brought through embracing the reality of our true liberty through our promised Redeemer, the Lord our righteousness and the Lord our vengeance. For vengeance is mine, said the Lord. For we don't come to fight against pure flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high and low places, with peace being the power of our tribe. John 14, verse 27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, but not as the world giveth I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Selah. Psalms 101. Psalms 101. I will sing of mercy and judgment unto thee, O Lord, where I sing. I will behave myself wisely in the eifert way, or when without coming to I will walk within my house with an eifert heart. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I hate the works of them that turn aside. It's not cleave to I. A forward heart should depart from I, and I I now shall not know a wicked person. Whoso previously slandered his neighbor, him will I cut off. He that has a high look and a proud heart, will not I and I suffer. For my eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with I. He that worketh deceit shall not dwell in thy house. He that telleth lies shall not tarry in thy sight. I will early rise to destroy all the weak hearts, so I may cut off all weak hearts from the city of the Most High. Abacadus Kinamare, Hadisalastisium exhibit. This is the vow that the king took on the other side of the doors before they opened the Kudus and the Kudus Kasan. After he took the holy bath and come to the church, before the ark, he took this vow. This is the vow of righteousness and asking the Memphis Kudus to come and embody you. Because how can one be Ifit unless one is Ifit through the coming of Memphis Kudus and to them? Selah. We only are given the words of the coronation after the door was opened. If you try to find the coronation ceremony, it starts after the door was opened and the king came out, following over 300, 200 priests who came out before him with the incense burners and everything. The king came out dressed in white on the forward side of them. The king revealed this here. This is the vow of righteousness and renewal and restoration, and the vow of true humility. For the weak heart are those who are weak to Satan's ways of blasphemy and speaking of venomous words to separate brothers and sisters from their mission of giving thanks to the Most High is what we come to do. Through the tongue, he who took captivity through the tongue. So the king come to destroy the slanderous tongue. So the king is the perfect embodiment of this vow. He has made it possible for the faithful to get to the summit that our exhibit has ordained for us through his tribe. For he leaded us in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. The star king of Ethiopia, the slayer of the slanderous tongue. For he who previously slandered his neighbor, him will I cut off. He that has a high look will not I and I suffer. Walk with the wise, and you will be wiser. Walk with the proud, and you will be scornful. Walk with the meek, and you shall inherit this earth. This is the truth of the creation, to give birth to the new, becoming members of a new race, overcoming petty prejudice. Selah, the slanderer of the tongue, fireball, the image of jealousy, and envy, took captivity with the tongue. This means to gain power or control over someone through deceitful or manipulative speech, essentially capturing them with their words. Revelation 12:1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Revelation chapter 12, verse 2. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. Revelation 12, verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head, the image of jealousy and falsehood. Fireball. Revelation 12, verse 4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. The conflict of the spirit with the flesh, the conflict of the irit with the flesh. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the irit, the things of the irit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be iritically minded is life and peace, because the carnal mind is in enmity against Siam exhibir, for it is not subject to the law of Siam exhibir, neither indeed can be. So them that are in the flesh cannot please Siam exhibir, the conflict of the irit with the flesh, to overcome the flesh, gratification of the flesh. For he who sowed to the flesh sowed corruption, but he who is led by the Memphis Kudus in the Abba Kudus Negus is led to eternal life. Selah. The capture of the tongue, the Ridley Lynch letter, and the making of the slave by Ridley Lynch. Selah. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate the item. I'm not here to enumerate your problems. I'm here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method of controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. That's to 2012. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves and make the differences bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, size of plantations, and status on plantations. Attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley or on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. Fireball, I assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. The black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-governing for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. It is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. Fireball. It is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Fireball. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Hence, the distrust that they put in us. The distrust is the major rule that they're using. The distrust is what they're using so we can't get sovereignty. And solidarity is what we have to have sovereignty. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful of each other. Thank you, gentlemen. Fireball hot, captivated by the tongue. Those who took captivity with the tongue. They took captivity with the tongue. Took captivity with the tongue. This means to gain power or control over someone through deceitful or manipulative speech, essentially capturing them with their word. The image of envy and jealousy. This is the rod they use it against us to disperse our nation and remove our sovereignty and our humanity before the eyes of the nation at large. Selah. Revelation 12, verse 5. And she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. Another child was caught up unto Exhibiah and to his throne. Selah. Isat Mabrak, Ababa Jahai. In Ethiopian history, the Ethiopian patriarch refers to resistant fighters, particularly the Albanots, who fought against Italian occupation during World War II. While Negus is the Amharic word for king or emperor, essentially the title used for the Ethiopian ruler, with the most well Negus being Emperor Kadamawi Haile Selassie, meaning Ethiopian patriot, who would be those fighting to protect their nation under the leadership of the Negus. Selah. Psalm 2. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sit in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon thy holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord has said unto I, thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee at the holy coronation. Ask of I, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with the rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and ye perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. His imperial majesty. Abakudus Kedamawe Kedamawe. Adisalasi Sion makes Zebir. Ye Ethiopia Koheb Negusi, the star king of Ethiopia, producing we, the star children. Selah. Psalm 110. The Lord said unto thy Lord, sit thou at thy right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool. The Lord shall send forth thy rod of strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thy enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. In the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning, thou hast the dew of thy youth. Remember, check this. For this is an association with the seventh covenant, Tawahido covenant, the Davidic son, great David's greater son of the bloodline of David. Selah. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of thy youth. The Lord has sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries. He shall drink of the brook in the way. Therefore shall he lift up the head. Selah. Isat Mebrak, fireball. Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and potted my land. On June 30th, 1936, His Imperial Majesty did address the League of Nations on the day that it was prepared to lift the sanctions against Mussolini and Italy. So in fact, he did wound the heads over many countries on that day. He did wound the heads over many countries on that day, June 30th, 1936, at the League of Nations in Geneva, Switzerland. And for this reason, I will plead with them for my people and for my heritage, better Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. with colonialism leading from the Berlin Conference. They parted the land. Revelation chapter 21, verse 23. And the city had no need of the sun, neither the moon to shine in it, for the glory of Exhibiha did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Remember the prophecy of the Star King. He shall shine forth as the sun upon the earth. The Star King, Ethiopia Kaheb Negusi, he shall shine forth as the sun on earth. Remember the prophecy in the Testament of Levi. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of Exhibiah did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Revelation 21, verse 24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. Silah. Ethiopia, Kaheb Negusi. Ethiopia, Star King, the light of the king, to win the war, to overcome the enemy upon the field, cannot alone ensure the victory and peace. The cause of war must be removed. Each nation's right must be secure from violation. Above all, from the human mind must be erased all thoughts of war as a solution. Then, and only then, will war cease. The power of peace is our supreme power, the Holy Kal, which is the power of peace. Through pure humility, we shall put out the beast, Selah, for we cannot become a brute against truth. Through the peace shall not be disturbed. Through he established IS, the Ethiopian World Federation incorporated unto himself upon the mission of solidarity and unity. For when we stand in solidarity and unity, we have sovereignty through customary law and customary right. And our mission, our task, according to the king's word, is to improve the economic lot of all African peoples, to raise them to a standard of living comparable to that enjoyed in the most highly developed regions of the world today. This is a task and a challenge that must be met. And because this touches all of us, we must labor and work for success in this endeavor. His Imperial Majesty, our Father, Kadamawe Hari Selassie, Siam Exhibir, Sila. He speaks, moving from the season of darkness, for now we're in the season of light, of the millennial kingdom of obedience, for obedience is greater than sacrifice. Fettered and bound, words of Ababajanai, Eli, Sila. The events of the past 150 years require no extended recitation from us. The period of colonialization, into which we were plunged, culminated in our continent fettered and bound, with our once proud and free peoples reduced to humiliation and slavery, with Africa's terrain crosshatched and checkerboarded by artificial and arbitrary boundaries. Many of us, during those bitter years, were overwhelmed in battle, and those who escaped conquered did so at the cost of desperate resistance and bloodshed. Others were sold into bondage as the price extracted by the colonists for the protection which they extended and the possessions of which they disposed. Africa was a physical resource to be exploited, and Africans were chattels to be purchased bodily, or at best peoples to be reduced to vassalage and lackeyhood. Africa was the market for the produce of other nations and the resource of the raw materials with which their factories were fed. Today, Africa has emerged from this dark passage. The dark season is over. This is the season of light. Today, Africa has emerged from this dark season, dark passage. Our Armageddon is past. Africa has been reborn as free continent, and Africans have been reborn as free men. The blood that was shed and the sufferings that were endured are today's Africa's advocates for freedom and unity. Those men who refuse to accept the judgment passed upon them by the colonizers who held unswervingly through the darkest hours to a vision of an Africa emancipated from political, economic, and spiritual domination will be remembered and revered wherever Africans meet. Many of them never set foot on this continent. Others were born and passed here. What we may utter today can add little to the heroic struggles of those who, by their example, have shown us how precious are freedom and human dignity, and of how little value it is life without them. Their deeds are written in history. Selah, Selah. Abba Kudus, Katamari, Hadi Selassie Siyam Exhibir, sits upon the golden mercy seat. Exodus chapter 25, verse 21 to 22, Malachi 3, verse 1 through 4, Isaiah 55, verse 1 through 8, the Star King. Word from the Mashafa Bahan Book of Life. Exodus 25:21, and thou shalt put the mercy seat above upon the ark, and in the ark thou shalt put the testimony that I shall give thee. Exodus 25:22, and there I will meet with thee, and I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, from between the two cherubims which are upon the ark of the testimony, and all things which I will give thee in commandment unto the children of Beta Israel. Malachi chapter 3, verse 1. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before I, and the Lord whom you seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant whom you delight in. I hold, he shall come, said the Lord of hosts. Overstand not. Behold, I will send him my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before I. And the Lord whom you seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant whom ye delight in. I hold, he shall come, said the Lord of hosts. Malachi 3, verse 2. But who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeared? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like a fuller's soap, fireball hot, the fire lion, for he holds the fire sword in his hand, which is Psalms 101. The fire sword is Psalm 101. I will sing of mercy and judgment to thee, O Lord, where I sing. I will behave myself wisely in the Ifit way. O when without coming to I shall walk within my house with an Ifit heart. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I hate the works of them which turn aside. It shall not cleave to I. A forward heart shall depart from I, and I shall not know a wicked person. Whoso previously slander his neighbor, him will I cut off. He that hath a high look and a proud heart, will not I and I suffer. But my eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with I. He that walk in an Ifit way, he shall serve I. He that practice deceit shall not tarry in thy house. He that telleth lies shall not minister in thy sight. For I shall early rise to destroy all the weak hearts, that I may cut off all weak hearts from the city of the Most High. Abakudus Kinamari Adisalasi Siam Mixibir took this pledge on November the 2nd before the Ark of the Covenant to achieve in this garden of good and righteousness that we live. This is why we say, in this time, in this garden, in this Armageddon, blessed is the man, woman, and child that walketh not out of the ways of the weak heart, nor stand in the way of the sinners, nor sit in the seat of the scornful. But that light is in the law of the true and living light. Abakadus Kinamawai, Celestia, the first Neguselam, Rastafari, Siam Exhibir, and in the eye law they agitate day and night. Therefore should it be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bring forth their fruit in due season. And our life and our lock shall not wither, and whatsoever I do must prosper. But the weak cause are not so, like the shaft before the wind, with the word, sound, and power, drive it away. Therefore the weak heart shall not stand in this judgment, nor sinners sit in the congregation of the righteous. For the true and living light, Abakadus Kinamawai, Eliai, Celestia, the first Negru, Rastafari, Siam Exhibir, He know the ways of the righteous, but the ways of the weak heart shall go down in tempestuous brimstone, lightning, and blood fire. Abacadus Kinamaria, Eliai. Selassie, the first Neguselam, see him exhibit. For he shall require the blood of the righteous at the hands of the wicked in this Armageddon time. War gone down. So if the man causes the shedding of innocent blood, he shall be found judgment in that. This is a flaming sword, Psalms 101, for the flaming lion. So he shall remove the flaming sword by showing us what it is, so we can enter into the garden. Remember the prophecy in Testament of Levi? He shall remove the flaming sword and allow against Adam and allow the saints to eat from the tree of life and enter into the garden again. Selah, 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 Selah. Malachi 3:3. He shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, and they shall make offer unto Neguselam an offering and righteousness. Yes, an offering of humility, righteousness, offering of obedience. The fire king upon the fire throne, he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He shall purge the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, and they may offer unto the Lord an offering and righteousness. They shall be purged. Remember the prophecy of the star king. He shall give power to his saints and his sons in truth, and they shall tread upon the evil spirits, and the iron of holiness shall be on them, for they shall take the vow, every one of them, vow 101, and imploring the Most High to enter into them and take over their life. Control I, O Lord. Make I be what I want I to be. They shall trample down the wicked. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, as in the former years, in these modern times. Malachi 3:4. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto Neguselam, as in the days of old and in former years. Selah. Isaiah 55:1. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come you to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yeah, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Isaiah 55:2. Wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfies not? Hearken diligently unto I, and eat, and that which is good, and let your iron alight itself in fatness. Selah. Isaiah 55:3. Incline your ear, and come unto I. Hear, and your iron shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David, the new mercy covenant, even the sure mercies of David, the mercy seat, the fire seat. This is a covenant. The Masonic king himself is the covenant. He is the propitiation that's given to us in this time. Selah, Selah. He is the culmination of our faith, the consummation of our faith, the propitiation of it. Selah. Isaiah 55:4. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people. Selah, Selah. Exodus 25:21. And thou shalt put the mercy seat above the ark, and in the ark thou shalt put the testimony that I shall give thee. The mercy seat. Thou shalt make a golden throne, a golden seat. The king sit upon the golden seat. And upon the golden seat is where the Most High made the promise that he would commune with thee. And there I will meet with thee, and I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, from between the two cherubims which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all things which I will give thee in a commandment unto the children of Beta Israel. Word from the Mashafa Bahan, the book, living book of light. Selah. Abakadus Kenamawi Kenamawi Hadis Selassie Sion Mixibir is the Kudus Gesso. He's the holy Gesso. I pause at this time. Selah, Selah, Selah. Can the item still hear?
Yes, I.
Yes,
Can the item still see the screen?
Yes,
yes,
sir.
I am.
Yes, I give thanks. Well, at this time, this is an initiative to overcome the captivation of our people by the religious syndrome that's forheeding our mission of our federation, which is to keep our solidarity and thus we can have our serenity amongst each other. So it really wasn't meant to be a long session. It really was meant to be a 45-minute session, not to take too much from the item when the item come forward. So at this point, I just ask the item, do the item want to carry on, or we can end this session and come forward next Sunday for another section. I pray that I was a little tardy today as well. So I'll give it to the item. Did the item want to carry on, or the item want to still up here? And because we have other things going on today as well, other Zooms. So I would leave it to the ones who have come, and I give thanks for the item presence here. So what would the item? What's the consensus of the item?
Greetings, Chaplain. So in the chat, it's asked if you could build on Nathaniel Huggins today. If that's something you're able to do, that would be great.
All right. Anyone else have any suggestions as well? Well,
Yes, sir.
about this session, to keep following this session,
Yeah,
I
man,
can
keep
build
forward.
I can keep on Nathaniel Huggins, but I have that information is in here, but it's not right now. I can pull it up, but right now we on this right here, and I have things settled for this. So I will bring Nathaniel Huggins in if we'll have time. But I just wanted to address everyone because I didn't want to keep ones long because I'm really pushing for this to be 45 minutes. But I tell you, it's a task. See,
Well,
so
we can continue forward with this session because Cindy on it already, and probably the other one can come on another session.
all right. So come forward. Item step forward,
Yes,
ready?
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
I. See, Abacadus Kanamawi, Adisalasi Siam Exhibit. Give thanks for the faithfulness and the tolerance. Yes, I. Abacadus Kanamawi, Hadisalasi Siam Exhibit is the Kadus Gesso. Isaiah 25, verse 6 through 9, John chapter 15, verse 1 through 17, Proverbs chapter 3, verse 12, tree of life. The Gesso, when you make Ethiopian wine, the Ethiopian honey wine is made from different ingredients. The Gesso is the primary ingredients and the fullness how you finish the wine. It's the ingredient of it's the medicinal herb in the wine. It's a medicinal herb in the wine. When they say sweet in your mouth but bitter in your belly, it's it's the purification. It's the medicine. It's medicinal. So His Majesty title as Madahani Alam. This the meaning. Madahani Alam, Savior of the world. Madahani is really medicine of the world, meaning He's the medicine of the world. He's the Savior of the world because He is the Holy Gesso. Sila. Isaiah 25:6. And in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, of wines on lees, of fat things full of marrow, and wines on lees well refined. Isaiah 25:7. And He will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Isaiah 25:8. He will swallow up death and victory, and the Siam Exhibir will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of His people shall He take away from off all the earth, for the Lord has spoken it. Selah, Selah, Selah. So let I not go here. This feast that has been talked about here is one that is interactive, that must happen as it's happening on the spot. It's not wine being made and put in a bottle and shipped to someone. When it says right here, a feast of fat things, of wines on lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on lees, well refined, that means they're making the wine on the spot. The wine is being made right there on the spot. This is the vision of the coronation, of the outside feast of the coronation when they came out of the church. When they left the church and they gave the tour of the grand tour of the capital, they commenced with the outdoor feast, which one say the Last Supper. They said the last Negus feast. This is the last feast of the last king of Ethiopia, for there shall never be a king after him. So that's why they call it the Last Supper, but it's the last King's Supper. It's the last King's Supper because there'll never be another king crowned after him. So it's the last feast. So at this feast, he make a feast unto all people. He invited everyone to come to the coronation of all nations. And they're making wine right there on the spot. Selah. And the symbolism that's going on here. In the same mountain where this feast is taking place, he shall conquer the fascist invasion, the Ferengi Mussolini. He shall conquer him and his victory on May 5th, 1941, the representation of the victory. And in this victory now, he shall remove the covering, destroy the covering that cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. He will swallow up death in victory, and Neguselam will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth, for the Lord has spoken it. Now take mention to this scripture. Look at its form. It's one sentence, so you can't separate any part from the other. It's one sentence. You don't have any commas in this sentence. When you have a comma, you have a separation. There's no commas here. He will swallow up death in victory, and the Lord God will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth. You can't take the victory and the rebuke of his people, meaning freedom, equality, independence. In the West, no more black get back. No more black coming in the back door. The rebuke from niggas to nigguses. No more nigger. Now we nigguses. We're priests and kings until our exhibit. He has made us priests and kings. Priests and nigguses. No more niggers. Nigguses. From niggas to nigguses. The king has made us in his victory. We can't enjoy what we enjoy right now without his victory and ever living. You can't separate it. It's one. You cannot separate it. You can't get one without the other. You can't get the peace that we have to move in self-determination to make our own under the sun without him conquering life. You know, he's conquering death through life. So we said judgment over life. Many say life over death. We say judgment over life because judgment is life. If you don't have judgment, that's death. Judgment is what makes life, right? Because out of the throne, we had a stream of fire. And out of the throne, we have a stream of water. We have the fire judgment, which is the purification. Then the water, where no ship shall enter in. And the only request is those who are thirsty. For him who overcome and is thirsty, he thirsts after righteousness, he shall grant him to eat and to drink. From that, he shall grant him to eat and to drink. From that, let I and I go. Fireball. Yes, I. Let I and I go. Selah. Fire. Hot. Let I and I go. All right. Here. Isaiah 25:8. He will swallow up death in victory, and Sia makes the beard will wipe away tears from off all faces, And the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth, for the Lord has spoken it. Isaiah 25:9. After the victory, it shall be said in that day, Lo, this is our Jah. We have waited for him. He will save us. This is the Lord. We have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. Selah, Selah, after his victory. John 15:1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husband. Behold, hold up. Wait a minute. I pray the item. Let us go here, right here, right here. At the Holy Coronation, he is the Gesso. This is article in the newspaper, the New York Times, detailing the coronation of the king, 1930. It says, Emperor crowned at African capital. Emperor crowned at African capital. We're not going to go into all of it. We're just going to go here because we're talking about the holy feast of the wine. It says right here. The emperor released hundreds of political and criminal offenders and also conferred the order of the conquering line of Judah upon a number of cabinet members, princes, and tribal chiefs. The most striking of today's festivities was an open-air feast of raw meat and wine made from fermented honey and flavored with herbs, which the emperor gave to over 25,000 tribesmen. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You see? So they estimated, that's the estimation of 25,000 tribesmen. Everyone came to the king, and he put the gesso in their cup to make the honey, to finish the wine. He finished the wine. He's the Madahani Alam. He's the medicine of the world. He's the purge, the sweetness and the purge in the wine. All right? The most striking of today's festivities was an open-air raw feast of meat and wine made from fermented honey and flavored with herbs, which the emperor gave to 25,000 tribesmen. 5,000 cattle were slaughtered on the spot for the feast. The emperor considered it a day of triumph. At the end of the ceremonies, he fell on his knees and gave thanks to Ixir. Abyssinia has been a Christian country for 1,600 years. All right. Now they give us a number, 1,600 years, and we know 400 years I and I shall be going forward in the wilderness. So you put the 16 plus the 4, you have the 2,000. Because they tell us that Christ shall return in the Babylon year of 2,000. So we have the 16. They give it to us in different places. 16 plus the 4 years of our enslavement, 400 years. So that's 2,000. So right here, we see the emperor gave the herbs. He put the gesso in the cup. Everyone had to come to the emperor. Like when we take Holy Communion, you see the churches and they take Holy Communion and everyone get in line. They go get the cracker and they go get the little grape wine from the priest or the pastor in the church. They're taking Holy Communion. This is the new covenant and the new wine. But for this new covenant and this new wine, you have to have a new wineskin because the old wineskin doesn't fit. It is a new thing, a new thing. He is the gesso. I read it again. And the overstanding for the raw meat now is to preserve our faith during the Muslim onslaught of the left-hand grand, the Ethiopian priests and monks, they couldn't make a fire because when they made the fire, the Muslims would see the smoke, and so they would come and kill everyone in the camp when they went to rest. So they couldn't cook the food for the smoke. So they had to come up with different ways to not, so they couldn't see the tabernacles. So that made them start building the tabernacles in the earth So if a man stand over there on that amber, which is a plateau, he can't see the church because the church is going in the earth. You see? So that made them build the tabernacles in the ground and carve them straight forward like that. And that's the reason why we was doing the raw meat. Today, we eat the raw meat is for giving homage to those patriots who had to do that to preserve our faith during the Grande Left Hand onslaught. But now some people come and take it as something they like to do. But that's the reason behind the symbolism of the raw meat. We honor our patriots who did that to preserve our faith, because that's what they had to do against the Left Hand who had the Muslim onslaught on Ethiopia, going against the Prophet Rasulullah Muhammad, because he told them to go to the land of beyond the mountains under the first prayer caller, the Ethiopian Bilal. They never was at war with Ethiopia because that's the place the people of the book. But after Muhammad, they caused war against Ethiopia, which was a violation still. So here we're talking about the symbolism of why they're using the raw meat. I'll repeat one more time. The most striking of today's festivities after they left the church of St. George's was an open air feast of raw meat and wine made from fermented honey and flavored with herbs which the emperor gave to 25,000 tribesmen. 5,000 cattle were slaughtered on the spot of the feast. So the king is the gesso. That's a symbol of him being the gesso. Everyone had to come get their herb to make their wine whole. To finish the wine, they had to come get that from the king. Selah, Selah, Selah. On this mountain, Zion, the Lord of hosts, will prepare a lavish banquet for all peoples to welcome his reign on earth. What is this symbolism of? They're welcoming his reign on earth, which is the fulfillment of our Salat prayer. Our Father, who art in Zion, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in Zion. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against our united. Strengthen us in temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever, world without end. Selah. A banquet of aged wines, choice pieces flavored with marrow of meat of well-refined aged wines. The definition of this: on this mountain, the Lord of armies will prepare for all people a feast with the best food, a banquet of aged wines with the best foods and finest wines. Here on Mount Zion, the Lord Almighty will prepare a banquet for all the nations of the world, a banquet of the richest food and finest wine. International Standard Version. On this mountain, the Lord of heavenly armies will prepare for all peoples a banquet of rich food, a banquet of well-aged wines, rich food full of marrow, and well-refined wines of the finest vintage. So we know who this is, this holy commander, who established us as his auxiliary force of his army to keep the unity and the unity through the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, because everything has a dual mission. We know what the word incorporation means. So on two levels, yeah, we got articles of incorporation, but on the aridical metaphorical level, we incorporated into our Holy Messiah for 99, and then the King stand to make us whole as the 100, the fullness, the wholeness of it. And he's our holy commander. He's our holy commander in alliance with the 1931 Ethiopian Constitution, Chapter 2, Article 29. As Commander-in-Chief, he has the right to organize the army and to set up missions, right? And he established we as his auxiliary. So who is this? This is our holy commander. He's the Lord of armies. He's the Lord Almighty. On this mountain, the Lord of heavenly armies will prepare for all peoples a banquet of rich food, a banquet of well-aged wines, rich food full of marrow, and refined wines of the finest vintage. All right? And on this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make for all peoples a lavish feast, and a feast of old and rich wines from the things that belong to our heavenly Savior and the mighty one. Fireball, hot fireball. On this mountain, the Lord of hosts make for all peoples a lavish feast, a feast of old and rich wines from the things that belong to our heavenly Savior and the mighty one. This is from the Aramaic translation. And for all the nations in this mountain, Lord Jehovah of hosts shall make a heavenly feast, even a guarded and heavenly feast of our heavenly and mighty life giver. This is the life giver. So in his victory, he removed the rebuke of his people and removed this shroud over we, which is death. He has given us new life and a restoration. Selah. A song of praise for Ixabir's favor. Like heat in a dry land, you subdue the uproar of foreigners. As the shade of a cloud cools the heat, so the song of the ruthless is the silence. On this mountain, the Lord of hosts will prepare a banquet for all peoples, a feast of aged wine, of choice meat, of finely aged wine. On this mountain, he will swallow up the shroud that enfolds all peoples, the sheet that covers all nations. Cross-reference, Selah. Revelation 19:9. When the angel told me, then the angel told I to write, blessed are those who are invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to I, these are the true words of Ixabir. Matthew 24, verse 2 through 4. The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. Fireball. He sent his servants to call those who he had invited to the banquet, but they refused to come. Again, he sent other servants and said, tell those who have been invited that I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and fattened cattle have been killed, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet. Luke 14, verse 16 through 17. But Negus replied, a certain man prepared a great banquet and invited many guests. When it was time for the banquet, he sent his servant to tell those who had been invited, come, for everything is now ready. Revelation 21:4. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the former things have passed away. Revelation 7:16 through 17. Never again will they hunger, and never will they thirst, nor will the sun beat down upon them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb is the center of the throne, will be their shepherd. He will lead them to springs of living water, and Ixabir will wipe away every tear from their eyes. This is metamorphically. You have to know the symbolism of the truth. We don't need the sun or the moon no more for our guide nor our light. We have a new guide and a new light. We have a new food. We eat upon our prayers that he provide for us. For he who mind is stayed upon thee, he shall keep them in perfect peace. He said, those who abide in the truth, my servants shall eat while they be thirsty. My servants shall eat while they'll be hungry. Matthew chapter 8, verse 11. I say unto you that many will come from the east and from the west to share the banquet with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. John 6, verse 35. Negus answered, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger, and whoever believes in me will never thirst. Remember the invitation of Isaiah 55. Ho, come, come eat, come drink, without money, without price. This is the invitation of the king. Come eat, come drink, without money, without price, right? I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger. Whoever believes in me will never thirst. John 6, verse 51. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. And this bread which I will give for the life of the world is my flesh. John 2, verse 1 through 11. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Negus' mother was there, and Negus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine ran out, Negus' mother said unto him, they have no more wine. Corinthians 1, they all ate the same spiritual, aritical food and drank the same aritical drink. So it's a twofold thing happening here. It's a physical thing happening at this feast, but it's an aritical thing happening at this feast. He's inviting them to eat of it and drink of it, but he also has those who are going to come and eat of it and drink of it spiritually. But the ones who are coming to eat of it, they haven't been invited to the other side of it. They haven't invited to the other side because they have to be in the heavens and the heart of the other side. For what is faith? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. Yes, so the iridical part is for those who live in iridical, and in the irid they can see. They all ate of the same iridical food and drank the same iridical drink, for they drank from the iridical rock that accompanied them, and that rock was Christ. Psalm 23:5. You prepared a table before I in the presence of our enemies. You anoint our head with oil. Our cup overflows. Psalm 36:8. They feast on the abundance of your house, and you give them drink from your river of light. Psalm 63, verse 5. I soul, I arid, is satisfied as with the riches of foods. With joyful lips, my mouth will eyes you. Selah. Psalm 78, verse 24 to 25. He rained down manna for them to eat. He gave them grain from heaven. Men ate the bread of angels. He sent them food in abundance. Here, take note, for he shall sit as a refiner, a purifier of silver and gold. He shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them. Now, that offering is a grain offering. We're talking about the Nazarite Elam. The Nazarite Elam. Those who have become Nazarenes for life. The Nazarite Elam. Those who become Nazarites for life. They take up the grain offering. This new covenant is a bloodless covenant. It's righteous in a bloodless covenant. He have given them the grain, the bread from heaven. This is the same bread that Jonathan and his shield bearer witnessed when they went to the camp of the Midianites, and they heard the one talking about the dream he had. And through the camp, the loaf of bread came into the camp and mashed up all the tents of the Midianites. And the other one said, that's have to be the sword of Jonathan, of Joshua. That's the sword of Joshua. So that bread that mashed up the tents is the same bread that come down from Zion, which is a bread that matches up with the softness of peace. Of course, he's strong in peace because he's the conquering lion of prayer and faithfulness. He's the conquering lion of prayer and faithfulness. He rained down manna for them to eat. He gave them grain from heaven. Men ate the bread of angels. He sent them food in abundance. Proverbs chapter 9, 1 through 5. Wisdom has built her house She has carved out her 7 pillars, which is the 7 covenants given to we. She has prepared her meat and mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her maidservants. She calls out from the heights of the city. Selah, Selah, Selah. Ababa Janai, Eliai, Selah. For in this mountain shall the hand of the Lord rest, and Moab shall be trodden down under him, even as straw is trodden down for the dunghill. So through the victory, the Ferengi forces of Mussolini shall be trodden down. Selah. It shall be trodden down. Ababa Janai, Selah. All right. Psalm, Isaiah 2. It shall come to pass in the last days. We note what time this is. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2 through 3. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills. All nations shall flow into it, in accordance with Psalm 87. His foundations in the holy mountains. The Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellers of Jacob. The last days. Psalm 72, verse 14 through 16. He shall redeem their ire from deceit and violence, and precious shall their blood be in his sight. For Babylon has taught us wrong. Babylon came to America and established what they call the Pauline Church. They established their church off of 4 covenants. They left out the 6th covenant, and they left out the 7th covenant. They also left out the 2nd covenant, which is the rainbow of Noah, the covenant, which represent our faith and the Isis of it, and the Ayun of the Kedus Selassie, which is faith, charity, with mercy, and hope, which represent Adu Ab, well, Memphis Kedus. Red represent the well, yellow represent Ab, and the green represent Memphis Kedus, who come to be Sela Malakit, the divine king, wearing the triple gold crown, the embodiment of it as the Tawahido king, the unique one in one name, because only one name come to invoke and involve the wholeness and the fullness, and that name is Kadamari Hadi Selassie. Is oneness in that name, and the strength and the power and the peace in that name. And we subdue demons in the peace of that name. Selah. So he shall redeem their iris from deceit and violence, and precious shall their blood be in his sight. Isaiah 55, 1 and 2. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come you to the waters, and he that has no money, come buy. Yeah, eat, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Psalm 62, 5. My iris shall be satisfied with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall eyes thee with joyful lips. Wisdom has built for herself a house. Selah, Ababa Janai. Isaiah 49, 6 through 10. And he said, is it a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore, to preserve of Israel? I also will gather thee for a light to the Gentile, that thou mayest be my salvation to the ends of the earth. This is a message to we, the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, who unto himself, who was chosen to be a refuge for MIA Ethiopia, Zion, when she came under attack. Remember, she had a place prepared for her in the wilderness, where they would nurture her there 1,062 days. All right? He said, is it a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore, to preserve of Israel? I also will give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the ends of the earth. Daniel 7, verse 14. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, languages should serve him. Its dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and it's a kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Matthew 8, verse 11. And I say unto you, that many shall come from the east and to the west, and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Selah, Selah, Selah. What about you, man? Yes, son. Then I move forward. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. This is the covenant one with the new wine, which he himself is the gesso. He the gesso of the new wine. Selah. On this mountain, the phrase on this mountain refers to Mount Zion, a significant location in biblical history and prophecy. In the Hebrew text, mountains often symbolize places of divine revelation and encounter. Mount Zion, in particular, is seen as the spiritual center of Exibir's kingdom, representing his presence and authority. Historically, it is the site of Jerusalem, the city of David, and the location of the temple, making it a focal point for worship and divine promise. This mountain is not just a physical location, but a symbol of Exibir's ultimate plan for redemption and restoration. Yes, I am. The Lord of hosts. The title, the Lord of hosts, emphasizes Exibir's sovereignty and power. In Hebrew, Yahweh Sabaoth conveys the image of Exibir as commander of heavenly armies, underscoring his supreme authority over all creation. This title reassures believers of Exibir's ability to fulfill his promises and protect his people. It reflects a Exibir who is not distant but actively involved in the affairs of the world, orchestrating events for his divine purpose. Our spiritual commander. The action will prepare indicates Exibir's intentional and personal involvement in the unfolding of his plan, for he is the holy Gesso. All the people had to come to the king for the Gesso to put in their wine at the coronation to make the wine full. He's the fulfillment of it. He's the seat of all our covenants. It's for him. We can't have it without him. So he's the fulfillment of it. We didn't have a king. Our thing is different. Everything concerning I and I is different. It's not just simple. It's different. It's special. It's peculiar. You see, the action we prepare indicates Exibir's intentional and personal involvement in the unfolding of his plan. It suggests a future event that is certain and divinely orchestrated. The Hebrew verb used here conveys a sense of careful planning and provision, highlighting Exibir's role as a provider who meets the needs of his people. This preparation is not just for sustenance, but for celebration, pointing to a time of joy and fulfillment. The term banquet signifies a grand feast, a common biblical metaphor for abundance, blessing, and fellowship. In ancient Near Eastern culture, banquets were occasions for celebration and community, often making significant events. The imaginary is used to depict the Masonic age. Remember, we're coming into a millennial kingdom, the Masonic age, a time when Exibir will gather his people for a joyous celebration of his kingdom. It symbolizes the ultimate fulfillment of Exibir's promises and the restoration of his creation. Selah. The phrase for all peoples highlights the inclusivity of Exibir's invitation. It reflects the universal scope of Exibir's Exhibir's salvation plan extending beyond Beta Israel to encompass all nations. This is a recurring theme in Isaiah, where the prophet envisions a future where Exhibir's kingdom is open to all who seek him. It underscores the message of hope and redemption available to every person, regardless of their background or ethnicity. A feast of aged wine represents the finest and most luxurious provision in biblical times. Aged wine was a symbol of wealth and celebration, reserved for special occasions. The imagery conveys the richness and abundance of Exhibir's blessing in the Masonic age. It also points to the joy and satisfaction found in Exhibir's presence, where he provides not just for physical needs, but for the deepest longings of the human heart. Overstand that. So Zion is open for all, for his chosen we to be the light of it and the light of the nations through our inheritance, because we are the children of the prophet. We are the symbol, prophetic symbol of Joseph. So we have a double blessing. Yes, he's everyone king also in truth. He's everyone exhibit in truth, but he's I king by bloodline. So mark the difference here. Selah. The phrase, the choice of meat, the emphasis, the quality and abundance of the feast in the ancient world. Rasta. Selah. Further emphasize the quality and abundance of the feast in the ancient world. Meat was a luxury often associated with festive occasions and sacrifices. This imagery suggested a time of peace and prosperity where Exhibir's people will enjoy his bountiful provision. It also alludes to the sacrificial system, pointing to the ultimate sacrifice of Christ, who provided identical nourishment and life. He himself becomes the center of the sacrificial achievement. The repetition of finely aged wine reinforces the idea of abundance and excellence. It suggests a double portion of blessing. See, the double portion. We have a double portion of blessing as Joseph coming in from the coal of the west, highlighting the overflowing generosity of Exhibir. This imagery is a foretaste of the heavenly banquet, where believers will experience the fullness of joy and communion with Exhibir. It serves as a reminder of the hope and promise of eternal life, where Exhibir's people will dwell in his presence forever. This was the allude to Isaiah 25 we was reasoning on. He shall swallow up victory. He shall swallow up death and victory, and remove the rebuke of his people from off the face of the earth. So I and I can't be celebrating our freedom and independence without, on the other side, regularly being ever living through him. That's the supreme blessing. So knowing that you shall hunger no more, knowing that you shall have no more pain, knowing that you will have no more sorrow. It's metaphorical. It's a metaphor, but it's what you know. You have to know that. So that's why you don't have no more pain. That's why you don't have no more sorrow, because you know the realness of it is the association that's going on with this. That's going on. The mountain is the hill of Zion, the true representative type of the city of Exhibir, true to what we may call the Catholicity, meaning world, for the Ethiopian World Federation, for the king holding in his hand the globe of the world. The globe of the world. His empire shall be from the river, the Gihon River, to the ends of the earth. Isaiah looks forward to the time when the outlying heathen nations shall no longer be excluded from the fellowship of Israel, but shall share in this sacrificial feast, even as at the banquet of the great king. I read that again. But shall share in this sacrificial feast, even as at the banquet of the great king. So we're talking about the great Negus and his blessing that he's bringing for I and I. In the Hebrew, even in the English, the rhythm flows like a strain of music appropriate to such a feast. The wines on lees are those that have been allowed to ripen and clarify in the cask. And so, like the fat things of marrow, represent the crowning luxuries, right? So he himself, the joy of coming to the king, and the king putting the gesso in your individual cup. The joy of knowing you taking part in this, and he's individually putting this in your cup. But this blessing and this feast is ever encompassing and ever open. We're taking part in it today when we're opening up this. We open up this heavens to see those who are invited aridically to this blessing. Are we who are invited aridically to this blessing, to eat of it and to know of it? See, the blessing of the final state are now touched upon are a special subject for Thanksgiving. They are not enumerated, but a certain number are set forth as specimens from which we may form a conception of a general condition of the saved, right? These ones who hold the heavens, they saved out of creation, a heavenly feast in which they will all participate. The removal of the veil or covering which is in this life over all things, causing men to have a indistinct vision and erroneous estimate of their value. Aha! Babylon had taught us wrong and clouded our vision to have an erroneous estimate of the value of our life. The abolition of death, which will no longer hang over them as a thing to be feared. We don't fear no death. The king conquered out of that in truth. And he conquered that and in truth and in righteousness. In the book of Ezekiel, the glory of the Lord, a manifestation of Ixabil's presence, departs from the temple of Jerusalem. Let me pause here. Selah. When we go forward here to Abakadus, Kenamari, Adislasi, Siam Ixabir is the holy Chibo. He is the Chibo. The Chibo is what the king holds to light the bonfire of the Maskell fire on Maskell. If you ever seen the picture of the king, he holds the royal Chibo. It has the rainbow on it, and it's long, and he lights the Maskell fire with it. He himself is the holy Chibo. He's the holy Gesso, but he's also the Caduce Chibo. Ezekiel chapter 10, 1 through 7, Malachi 4, 1 through 3, and Isaiah 60, 1 through 4. He is all of this right here. Selah, Selah, Selah. The holy Chibo is the holy light. The holy Chibo is the holy light. He's the one who brings the fire. The holy Chibo and the holy light, he lights the fire of liberation and of restoration. He brings the holy fire from out of the Holy of Holies and spreads it throughout the city and throughout the earth to purify the earth from the dark passage of colonialism and tormentation to liberation and salvation into independence and sovereignty of our nation as we stand today. In the book of Ezekiel, the glory of the Lord, a manifestation of Ixabir's presence, departs the temple in Jerusalem, symbolizing Ixabir's judgment on the city and its people for their unfaithfulness. Aha! The prophet Ezekiel saw a vision of the glory of Ixubir leaving the temple, which was a place of worship and Ixubir's dwelling among his people. After the king was endued with the Memphis Caduce, the last part of the coronation was to leave the tabernacle and have a tour of the holy city, him and the empress. Then they took part in the wine feast and everything. So the king was imbued already with the Memphis Caduce. Now it's leaving the tabernacle inside of the king, which is the holy fire of purification and faith and truthfulness that it would take to break the iron bars and the brass gates of Babylon captivity mentally and physically. Departure of the glory. The vision depicts the glory of Adonai removing from the threshold of the temple, eventually departing the city and standing on the mountain east of Jerusalem. So when we say Hosanna, Hosanna, how beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains of Antato, that bringeth good tidings of peace and of freedom. It's in relation to this, because when he left, it went there, right? It went there. So it still will come forward from there. But it's leaving there for it's leaving for a reason. Symbolism of the departure. The departure of Ixubir's glory signifies the withdrawal of Ixubir's protection from Jerusalem, his judgment on the people, and the coming fall of the city to Babylon. For the king, it was already prophesied that the Pharingi would take Addis Ababa, because them ones, they did have a hand in the slavery. Ethiopians did have a hand in slavery, and they had to pay for that. The king, they had to pay for that. That what caused them, they came to be men who was taking bribes and everything. So the king had to come and purify that. And they had to have a judgment for that. So the king had to leave. The Memphis Caduce was in the king. So when the time come, when the Ferengi Mussolini forces took Addis Ababa, he wasn't there. He couldn't be there for that. He could not be there. It's in the king. Selah. The Israelites had become unfaithful to Ixubir, and their disobedience had led to Ixubir's presence leaving them. All right. This passage describes the glory of Ixubir departing from the threshold of the temple and stopping upon the cherubim as they lifted their wings and rose from the earth. This is symbolizing the coronation, during the coronation, that when it did come out the Holy of Holies, before it just went out the temple, something was going on, and it had a throne over there, and it had to pause over the throne, and the throne was anointed and was crowned. So the crowning had to take place before it left the tabernacle. Now you have a petition for everyone to turn to, which is the mercy seat of David and the divine one that was promised, great David's greatest son, who will sit upon the mercy seat. Great David's greatest son, who will sit upon this mercy seat, that has become the mercy seat. Before the president leaves the tabernacle, the king has to be crowned. So you can have a representative, the Silah Melekit, the one who takes our prayers and our hearts up to Ixubir in remembrance, because he is the faithful holy witness of Christ, the faithful holy leader of Christ, and he's the faithful holy commander in Christ. Right. Selah. The passage describes the glory of the Lord departing the threshold of the temple and stopping above the cherubim as they lifted their wings and rose from the earth. Picture the scepter that the king holds in his hand. The scepter that the king holds in his hand, from the top of the scepter is cherubims, and their wings spread, and they're looking forward to the crown, which is symbolism of the golden seat upon the ark, with the cherubim surrounding it and looking forward toward the seat. The glory of Ixubir proceeds from the mountain of the east side of Jerusalem and the Mount of Olives. after which presumably ascends to heaven. You see, it's a question mark because they can't go no farther than that because they don't have the heavens. They can only say they see and they read it, but they don't really know what to mean. They just said to go forward. No, the king had to go forward and fight against those nations. So the king is who got up at 5:30 every night and went to the holy temple and gave the holy prayer. The daily sacrifice come from the king. So the daily sacrifice was taken away during this time. This was a retribution and a judgment. Yet it shall return, the return in glory. You see, the return in glory. The king came forward on May 5th, 1941, with the true liberation. And this is why we said, blessed is the feet of him. How beautiful are the feet of him that come from the mountains, that bring good tidings of peace and of joy and of freedom. Hosanna, Hosanna. That is the psalm or the hymn that is said during the Fasika. Because the forward year, we had Fasika in Ethiopia rising on the same day. May 5th and Fasika was on the same day on the forward year, 2024. That was the Golden Fasika. That was the day that this day, May 5th, moved itself to its culmination and consummation of our salvation to show us the truth of the true and living I and what it really symbolizes and it represents. Ixabir apparently has a great mobile throne, is on the move. See, in chapter 10, verse 18, Ezekiel sees the cherubim stop at the entrance of the east gate of the Lord's temple, while the glory of Ixabir of Israel hovered above them. That's what when the king was crowned. It came out the Holy of Holies and it hovered over there before it left the tabernacle. A ceremony was going on. Then, in Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 23, the glory of the Lord went up from the midst of the city and stood on the mountain that is on the east side of the city. In my mind, I see Ixabir's throne platform going up and over the wall of the city and heading toward Babylon. The king left and was headed towards Babylon. For the great judgment had to come upon Babylon. He had to go and he had to fight for the battle. This is in response to fulfill better Israel's request in 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 5 through 20. Israel asked for a king to lead them into war and fight their battles for them. This is what Israel asked for. So this whole fullness of our 7 covenants is the fulfillment of our tradition that has been asked through the children of Israel. This is what we ask for. A king to come judge we and to lead us into war and to fight our battles for we. So the Iron is going over the wall is to the mountain towards Babylon. Not only from that sense, it is also passing forward to Babylon in the west, which is the foundation that coming for I and I. He's chosen we to take part in this holy Armageddon as the watchman to keep watch and to keep the unity and the solidarity that asked of him. Selah, Selah, Selah. I'm coming to the seal up and this right here. Then he brought I back way of the outer gate of the sanctuary that faces east, but it was shut. The Lord said to I, this gate will be shut. It will not be open, and no one will enter it, for the Lord, the Ixabir of Beta Israel, has entered by it. Therefore it will remain shut. Only the prince may sit in it to eat a sacrificial meal before the Lord. This is the sacrificial feast where he is the gesso. He's also the chibo, the great prince of peace, who is our negus the king, after he goes through the door, no one else can go through the door. He will enter by way of the porch of the gate and will go out by the same. All right, recap. Ezekiel 43:4. The glory of the Lord will enter from the east through the gate. The gate will be shut because the Lord has entered through it. A prince will enter it, have a sacrificial meal, and exit it. All right? No one else can come through the door. That's the sun gate. No one else can sit upon that throne. No one else can stand in their shoes. No one else can wear that crown. Because only one was found worthy to open and loose the seals thereof, to really tread upon that and loose the seals of that, so we can tread in his state, which is Psalm 101, to the fulfillment of it. I will have sing a mercy and judgment to thee, where I sing. I will behave myself wisely in the perfect way. Or when without coming to I shall walk within my house with an eify heart. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I hate the ways of them who turn aside. It should not cleave to I. A forward heart should depart from I, and I should not know a wicked person. Whoso previously slandered his neighbor, him will I cut off. He that has a high looking and proud heart, will not I suffer. For my eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with I. He that walk in an eify way, he shall serve I. He that practice deceit shall not tarry in thy house. He that telleth lies shall not tarry in thy sight. For I shall early rise to destroy all the wicked of the land, that they may cut off all wicked doers from the city of the Lord. For he is the king that loveth righteousness and hateth wickedness. Therefore, his Exibir, has anointed him and his head high above his fellows, and he was chosen. Then, Ezekiel 10, I looked, and behold, in the firmament, that there was above the head of the cherubim, there appeared over them as it were a sapphire stone, as the appearance and likeness of a throne. Ezekiel chapter 10, verse 2. And he spoke unto the man clothed with linen, and said, Go in between the wheels, even under the cherubim, and fill thy hands with coals of fire from between the cherubims, and scatter them over the city. And he went in my sight. Ezekiel chapter 10, verse 6. And it came to pass that when he had commanded the man clothed in linen, saying, Take fire from between the wheels, from between the cherubims, then he went in and stood between the wheels. Ezekiel 10, 7. And one cherubim stretched forth his hand from between the cherubims unto the fire that was between the cherubims, and took thereof and put it into the hands of him that was clothed with linen, who took it and went out. He is the holy cherubim. He is the holy cherub. He's the holy cherub, meaning he's the wick. He carries the flame and brings it to we. He's the purification. He is the flame. He's the light thereof. Right? The fire. He is the holy cherub. All right? The phase, the Son of Righteousness shall rise with healing in his wings, from Malachi 4:2, refers to the coming of Jesus Christ, the Messiah, who will bring healing and righteousness to those who fear. Exibir. But you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise. Ethiopia, Koheb, Negusi, the star king of Ethiopia, the king of light. This verse is a promise of hope and salvation for those who are faithful to Exibir. The Son of Righteousness is a metaphorical term for Jesus Christ, who is the source of light, truth, and salvation. With healing in his wings, the imaginary of healing in his wings suggests that Negus will bring comfort, restoration, and deliverance to those who are suffering both physically and iridically. Hosanna, Hosanna. The wings can be understood as the symbol of the power and reach of Negus' healing and saving grace. Malachi 4:2 is part of a larger prophecy in Malachi 4, which speaks of a future day of judgment and restoration. Psalm 101, I will sing of mercy and judgment to thee, O Lord, will I sing. Malachi 4:1 warns of a coming day of the Lord that will be like an oven for the wicked, fireball hot, while Malachi 4 Verse 2 promises a brighter day for those who fear Exibir. Malachi 4, verse 3 through 4 speaks of the righteous treading down the wicked and remembering the laws of Musa. Aliyah, Sila. Because he referred to Ainai in Malachi 4:2. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go forth and grow up as cows of the stall. Malachi 4:3. And you shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, says the Lord of hosts. Malachi 4:4. Remember you the laws of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him, and Horeb for all Israel with the statutes and judgments for those who wish to separate themselves unto Siam Exibir. This is the law of the Nazarite Elam, the law of the Nazarite. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly, shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, said the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch, for he is the holy Chebo. So our elders, they came Irit, because righteousness is an Irit. These are the fishermen. This is the season of the fishermen. But I in this season are the season of the hunters. This is not the season of the fishermen now. It's the season of the hunters. For the hunters come to hunt everything that has the name of our holy Abacadus Negus upon it, and to bring it aright into alignment with our Tawahedo language, percept to what it means to I. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Exibir is risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Siam Exibir shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 2. Isaiah 60, chapter 3. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Isaiah 64. Lift up thy eyes round about, and see, all they gather themselves together. They come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed at thy side. Abacadus Kedamari, Hadi Selassie Siam Exibir, is to Kadus Chibo. This is him as the Chibo, the light, the holy light of aeration, and the light of our restoration, liberation, and liberation. For I am love, I am light, I am life, I am liberation. I am love, I am light, I am life, I am liberation. For we have been chosen for his holy convocation and his holy mission to preserve the unity of our holy nation. So here, I give thanks for the patience and the tolerance for this session of the state of Neguselam to bring I forward into this time. Aliyah, Sila, Sila, Sila. This section 7. This is section 7. Aliyah. Part 2. The 7 Tawahedo covenants, the Negus covenant of mercy, the new wine, the Mistra Gesso, and the new fast, and the mystery of the Holy Table. Part 2, State of Neguselam, Section 7. 7 Tarahito Covenants, the Negus Covenant of Mercy, New Wine, the Mystery of the Gesso, the New Fast, and the Mystery of the Table, Part 2. So I give thanks again in this time. I will take a pause before we ask for the Sergeant at Arms front line. To the chair. I can't hear the I. Sheila?
Sheila.
Yes, I. Can I hear? Yes, I. I think the sound might have went forward earlier. Is the chair still there?
Give thanks, beloved, you're being heard.
Earlier. All right. Did I get a chance to hear everything, or did the sound go out? I think we've been having a problem with the sound lately.
The song did go out, however, you've returned.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Something just happened a while ago with the Zoom.
All right. Well, let us
Yeah,
fill up.
uh, yes, sir, Chaplain.
Yes, I'm gonna say, because we didn't, like we said, we didn't want to go so long, but we tried to seal that thing up there. Um, um, so I will include next session, next Sunday, um, a piece in there on Dr. Huggins to fulfill that request for Dr. Huggins, and more on him. I will fulfill that on the next session as well, and see how that's connected to the king and the Armageddon that we had the invitation to take part in earlier. So now we ask the Ivy, I can just play the national anthem, and we can seal up this session. Well, I would say, anyone have any questions about anything?
Just giving praises, giving praises for the time and the patience of the eye to share the knowledge. Yes, I. Rastafari. It was well informed. Always a
Selah,
pleasure. Yeah, man.
Selah,
Rastafari.
Selah, Selah.
With Coinbase, you can trade Bitcoin in 6 easy steps. Create and verify your Coinbase.
Got to be in that land of Ethiopia. Swiftly gather, our children are gathered to thee. With our red, gold, and green floating o'er us, and our emperor to shield us from wrong. With our hope and our future before us, we hail and we chant and we sing. God bless our Negus high, who keeps Ethiopia free, to advance with truth and right, to advance with love and light, with righteousness leading. We hail to our God and our King, humanity pleading, one love for us all. Ethiopia, the tyrants are falling, who once more be underneath. Children are artically calling from over the distant sea. Jehovah, the great one, has heard us. He has come to protect us from wrong. He has sent his holy angels to guide us and to protect us in this land. God bless our Negus high, who keeps Ethiopia free, to advance with truth and right, to advance with love and light, with righteousness leading. We
Neguselam. Neguselam. Sela, Sela, Sela. Adhu Ab, Well, Memphis Kudus, Ali Kal, Abakudus, Kedamawi, Ali Sela, Siam Exibia. Bahama Ab, Well, Memphis Kudus, Ali Kal, Abakudus, Kedamawi, Ali Sela, Siam Exibia. Our Father, who art in Zion, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in Zion. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, and we forgive those who trespass against us, and I. Strengthen us in temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever, world without end. Through the name and power of the true and faithful witness, Abacadus Kedamawe, Haile Selassie Siam, Exhibir, Sila, Neguselam, Lekulekemu, Malcolm Ningatu, Abacadus Kedamawe, Haile Selassie Siam, Exhibir, Yunugusi Negesitu, Yedele, Meskele. Ye Ethiopia, Koheb Negusi, Ye Negusi in his wedding, Amlekana Halina Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amasagana, Amlakana 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 Halina Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amasagana, Sela. Prayer for Ethiopian deliverance to be said twice daily. O Exhibit of our fathers, and Lord of mercy, who had made all things by thy word and ordained men through thy wise mind, that he should have dominion over the creatures which thou hast made, and over the world according to thy equity and righteousness, and execute judgment with an upright heart. Give wise mind to thy servant, Emperor Kadamawi, Haile Selassie, thine elect, whom thou hast raised up from the east to deliver and mete out thy judgment to the nations of the world. Bestow upon him, we pray, wise mind in the like measure as unto Solomon, that he may sway the scepter of thy promise with equity and in righteous judgment to all who have robbed and bespoiled us. Have mercy upon us, Siam Exhibir of all, and send thy fear upon the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand upon the strange nations who have possessed I, and let them see thy power. As thou wast sanctified in I before them, so be thou magnified among them before I. Let them know thee, we have known thee, that there is no other Amlak, but only thou, Siam Exhibit. Show new signs and make strange wonders. Raise up indignations and your wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy our enemies. Remember thy covenant. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. Shorten the day, O Siam Exhibit, that thy people everywhere shall stretch forth their hands unto thee. Let them that spoil I everywhere be consumed with the rage of thy fire, and let them perish that oppress and robbed I continually. Have mercy upon thy peculiar people who are called by thy name and scattered among the nations. Give courage to those that possess thee, and frustrate the designs of the enemies within and without, and return their evils upon their own heads. Reward them that faithfully serve and lead thy people everywhere, and destroy our enemies speedily, that they would know that there is no other Exhibir like unto Ethiopia's Siam Exhibir. Hasten the day of universal brotherhood, when all mankind shall invoke thy name in irid and in truth, when idolatry and superstition shall so long longer enslave our minds and blind our eyes. Help I to know and keep thy commandments. Hear I prayers, and fear I with thy true irid, that all who dwell upon the earth may know that there are the only Exhibir, the everlasting and eternal Siam Exhibir, a living man. The Voice of Ethiopia, Volume 1, number 33, September 11th, 1937. Ethiopian New Year. Responsibility, the King's speech. Let all of us follow the golden rule. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you. Let the officials follow it closely. Let them serve their people and their country with humility and diligence. But diligence and humility and service to one's country are not the task of officials only. They are not the task of anyone alone. The present projects will demand close contact and cooperation between all of I and I. Officials to whom we have entrusted various degrees of responsibility, guided by the example of Negus Christ, who having declared, I came to serve you, not to be served by you, brought himself low and washed the feet of his disciples, must render service to the people without charge for these services. As we have repeated many times over in our last pronouncement, we would like to again to emphasize the value of time and urge you to dedicate yourselves to hard work and profitably utilize your time. There is no energy in the world, including that of the atom, that cannot be controlled. However, there is no scientist on Earth who could, even for a second, control the flow of time. For this reason, never idle away your time, however briefly. Is it not you, her children, that are referred to as Ethiopia? Our lasting hope has ever been, with the help of the Almighty, to help promote the interests and well-being of our people, not to get disillusioned by remote hopes and wishful thinking. May Siam Exhibir help us in the fulfillment of our undertakings. Abukadus, Kadamawe, Katamawe, Adisalasi Siam Exhibir, for we the black peoples of the world, in order to effect unity, solidarity, liberty, freedom, and self-determination, to secure justice and maintain the integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage, we do by establish and ordain this Constitution for the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated unto His Imperial Majesty Siam Exhibir as the Commander-in-Chief of the Imperial Mahil Tafari Forces of Ethiopia in accordance with the 1931 Ethiopian Constitution, Chapter 2, Powers and Prerogatives of the Emperor, Article 29. The Emperor reserves the right, with the advice and consent of Parliament, to declare war. He further reserves the right to decide what armed forces shall be maintained both in time of peace and in time of war. As Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, he had the right to organize and command the said forces, to commission and to confer military rank upon the officers of the said forces, and to promote, transfer, and dismiss any of the said officers. He has further the right to declare a state of siege, martial law, or a national emergency, and to take such measures as are necessary to meet a threat to the defense or integrity of the empire, and to assure its defense and integrity. His Imperial Majesty, Abacadus Kanamawi, Adisalasi, Siam Exhibir, so it necessary to establish we, the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, unto himself for the salvation of our nation and to preserve our integrity and our divine heritage through solidarity and unity, and push forward the self-determination of our nation. So at this time, I give thanks. Help us, O Lord, to fulfill our mission. Embody us. Make us be what I want I to be. And this time, give us the peace of mind and iron that it needs to conquer our own selves, to be that new race that I want I to be, of angelic beings. Sila, Sila, Sila. Yes, I. Earlier.
Yes, Selah.
Sila, Sila, Sila.
All right, everyone have a wonderful evening. That's enough.